Evergreen High School didn't have a school resource officer for nearly a year. Now, after a school shooting, the district is apologizing and beefing up security. Colorado's clerks have some questions for the company taking over most of the state's voting machines.
The way they rolled this out was fairly sloppy, to say the least.
Years after Denver voters demanded new sidewalks, the first projects are finally breaking ground, and the initial reviews aren't great.
You could see that the sidewalks were inaccessible because they flooded.
And today's Friday. We could all use some good news. Let's go to the pumpkin patch tonight on Next. For the first time, Jeffco Public Schools is admitting that there was a gap in security at Evergreen High School for months before a student brought a gun to campus and shot 2 classmates. For nearly a year, there was no full-time school resource officer there. And this week, the district told parents in an email that should not have happened, and the community deserved better. It comes as Jeffco Schools rolls out a new slate of security improvements specifically for Evergreen High School. The school is now the only one in the district with a dedicated armed officer assigned full-time. A new canine firearm detection program will also begin next week. A dog will be on campus sniffing for firearms throughout the day. And parents are now being asked to take a survey about whether they want metal detectors at school entrances. One of the students shot in the school is still in the hospital and faces a long road to recovery. Today, the sheriff's office sent out an update to everyone in the district saying they haven't found a motive for the shooting yet, but can confirm that they don't believe that the shooter had a hit list targeting specific students. Investigators also said today that no safe-to-tell tips were ever submitted about the shooter prior to the shooting. 10 days into a government shutdown, some federal employees got only a partial paycheck today. Others were served with layoff notices as the Trump administration followed through on its threats to fire federal employees. The White House budget director announced the firings today. He's been itching to slash government agencies since President Trump took office. So far, layoffs have been confirmed at the Department of Health and Human Services, the Education Department, and the Environmental Protection Agency. We don't know how many employees in Colorado have been impacted by those firings. Earlier this year, Colorado's Labor Department estimated that there were more than 54,000 federal employees in the state. Today, Democratic Congressman Joe Neguse called the firings unlawful and said the House should return to Capitol Hill for negotiations to end the shutdown.
We need to get the House reopened so that we can get back to doing the work that the American people expect of us, and certainly the people of Colorado expect of us. The reductions in force that have been threatened are unlawful. They're violative of the law. That is well settled.
Unions representing federal employees have already sued to stop the mass layoffs. Laid-off employees and furloughed employees are eligible for unemployment benefits, but they might have to pay that money back if they're reinstated. Well, it is that time of the year again. Time to start talking about the next election. As we all cast our ballots, the machines counting those votes next November have new owners. Dominion Voting Systems sold to a company called Liberty Vote, run by a former Republican election director from Missouri. Marshall Zellender explains the impact.
That used to be the sound of a Dominion voting machine, the kind used in almost all of Colorado's counties. Today, that same sound is what a Liberty Vote machine sounds like. Dominion was just bought by Liberty Vote, which is led by Scott Leindecker, a former Republican election director in St. Louis.
The new owner got an earful about this. The way they rolled this out was fairly sloppy, to say the least.
Matt Crane is head of the County Clerks Association. County clerks, who run elections, found out through media reports that the company that supplies their machines was sold. Crane was on a call today with Leindecker and metro area county clerks.
To ask him some of the questions that had been put out there since yesterday, is he an election conspiracist or not? What does that look like? And so he was very forthcoming and honest with his answers, and we really appreciated the time.
What was his answer?
His answer was no. He is a former election official from Missouri, so he very much understands the challenges and the work that election officials have to do day in and day out.
Liberty Vote's news release announcing the purchase of Dominion included some bullet points about the future of using their equipment, like this part about third-party auditing. Crane got assurance it is not about the type of auditing that happened in Arizona, where a group called the Cyber Ninjas was allowed to conduct a partisan hand recount of the 2020 election.
We're not talking about a Cyber Ninja type audit, which was really a fraud and a grift from the start. He's talking about responsible third parties coming in and looking at the voting system, doing penetration tests, make sure the systems are secure.
The Liberty Vote news release also talked about a focus on paper ballots.
And for people who are like, yeah, this guy is going to bring back paper ballots. What are mail-in ballots?
Those are paper ballots, my friend.
Republican El Paso County Clerk Steve Schleicher was also on the call today and said he was reassured about election transparency and security.
The only thing that has changed as of this morning is the business name.
The machines are the same. The software is the same. Matt Crane tells me that if Liberty Vote wanted to come in and update new software, they would have to do so with the Colorado Secretary of State's office and with that specific county clerk, because Colorado has strict guidelines on the access and updates of voting systems.
So you and I both know, obviously, we've lived in Colorado for a while, that when you get your mail-in ballot in the mail, it's a paper ballot. So when people say, let's go back to paper ballots, let's change the system, what does that mean?
Right, I've never voted on Play-Doh or something like that. It's code for go and vote in person, be handed your ballot after you give ID, go into a voting booth, draw it out,
mark it down,
mark your circle, and hand it back. It's code for never leave the place with your ballot, even though it's a secure, verifiable system when it gets mailed to you and returned.
Interesting. We'll see what everything leads out to in November, and I know that you'll be starting to go through that blue book and let everybody know what they're voting on here in a couple of weeks. Marshall, thank you. So speaking of those ballots, keep an eye on your mailboxes. Ballots are heading your way soon. Besides local elections, voters will weigh in on 2 statewide tax issues this November as well. Both statewide ballot measures, Proposition LL and Proposition MM, would add funding for a statewide free meal program. Voters approved the Healthy School Meals for All program back in 2022, which added a new tax on households making more than $300,000 a year. That tax revenue is supposed to fund breakfast and lunch for all students, regardless of family income level. But state lawmakers say they underestimated how much funding that program would actually need. So this year, Proposition LL would allow the state to keep $12 million that they've already collected for that program, instead of refunding it to taxpayers. Proposition MM would increase the tax on households making more than $300,000 a year and use that funding for healthy meals for all, as well as SNAP benefits. Marshall's going to explain more of that again over the next couple of weeks before you send in your ballot. So Denver voters gave the thumbs up a couple years ago to fixing and building new sidewalks. Homeowners are fronting the bill for that. But new sidewalks are only helpful if they work and aren't flooding when it rains. Here's Spencer Soisher.
Along Quebec Street between 12th and Montview, you'll find this brand new sidewalk and the ponding that now comes with it.
From a city and engineering perspective, you would think that they would kind of think through all of the components, right?
It cost the city of Denver about $4 million to install this sidewalk. But when it rains, it doesn't drain. Or drain enough, at least.
We do get a substantial amount of snow and rain.
Tessa Vanetz has noticed the issue.
And so we need to have a way for that to drain out.
Tessa wants to make sure it doesn't happen again when the city installs new sidewalks on 17th Avenue near her Park Hill home.
People make mistakes, companies make mistakes, the city makes mistakes, but we learn from them.
It's an issue that is uniting different communities and neighborhoods in some ways.
City Council Rep Chantel Lewis has flagged the city's transportation department about the sidewalk problems on Quebec and has the same concerns.
I hopefully believe that we've caught it early enough before we've started the implementation of the sidewalk program that now it's on Dottie's radar.
It is on their radar, and the Department of Transportation says this is not a common sidewalk problem. The city says it's happening because Quebec is flat, lacks curb and gutters, and needs a better stormwater drainage system than the one built before. The city said it tried to address the issue when they installed the sidewalk, and have since done more work on the curb and gutter, but it didn't fully fix the flooding. Dottie says they don't expect this to happen again, and the neighbors along future projects like 17th sure hope so.
And I would hate to see in a time when we have such this crunch associated with our budget and the available money that's going towards these infrastructure projects to have a substantial amount of rework.
The Department of Transportation says it needs to do more work and is prioritizing a fix on this. The ultimate solution, though, they say, would be to install stormwater pipes on both Quebec Street and 17th Avenue that would carry water away from the area, replacing the systems that they have in place there now.
Yeah, one might want the sidewalks to work. Spencer Soisher, appreciate it. Thank you. And we want to say a quick thank you for all that you've done this week to help low-income families in Adams County access the resources that they need to be stable and successful. Here's Kyle with an update on this week's Word of Thanks.
Thanks for being with Next while I'm away. I don't need to tell you that we have a childcare crisis and that it's unaffordable, especially for low-income families, and often spots are scarce and hard to find. That's why this week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign supports the Early Childhood Partnership of Adams County. They help low-income families with kids in a couple of ways. First, in terms of immediate needs like food assistance and help finding resources in the community, but they also specifically work on the issue of childcare scarcity by helping to build a teacher pipeline by better training early childhood educators and making sure that there are enough of them in that community so that when, say, a provider loses an employee, they don't have to close down or pause operations and put a ton of low-income families in a real bind. To join me in supporting that nonprofit's work, scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491. More than 6,000 of you have signed up to help sustain our weekly Word of Thanks microgiving by making a monthly donation to the Word of Thanks Fund. The same QR code or text will take you there. Put in your info once, and you support every single cause that we support through a monthly donation. Thank you.
Coming up, investigators say it could take weeks to find the cause of a devastating fire in Netherlands.
I think it's not terribly surprising to me that people are trying to censor what people read.
A librarian at CU Boulder knows that words can be powerful. That's why she's putting banned books on display for all to read. And we end the week with our favorite Friday question. What's your good news? That's next. An update this evening on that awful fire in Netherlands yesterday. Investigators in Boulder County plan to be there for weeks to try and figure out what caused that fire that destroyed 18 businesses right near the center of town. The Caribou Village shopping center was mostly made of wood, which is why the fire spread so quickly and was so devastating early Wednesday morning. The Carousel of Happiness and the town's only major grocery store survived the fire right nearby, but are closed for now. The grocery store is expected to open on Monday. Governor Jared Polis came to see the damage today and offer any possible help from the state.
One of the conversations that came up is there's probably about 60, 70, 80 people whose livelihood was connected to this site. Some of them were the owners of the small businesses, others were employees. We want to make sure they're seamlessly able to access their unemployment insurance. We're going to do that piece with the small businesses.
Anyone with information about the fire, any photos or videos with it starting, is asked to call the Boulder County Sheriff's Office. Switching now to the weather. Chris Bianchi joining us this evening. And Chris, I don't know how many people are watching from Grand Junction, but if they are, I hope that they have umbrellas. Wettest day in 20 years, is that right?
Yeah. 20 years, Mark. Over 20 years since Grand Junction seen 1.2 inches of rain in a single day. Wettest day since September the 21st of 2005. 15th wettest day on record. Folks, this is likely to be a top 10 wettest day on record for our friends there on the western slope. Reason being, all this deep tropical moisture continuing to funnel on in. That heads east into Glenwood Springs as well, and seeing some showers for us in the San Juans, as well as north and east here. Into Denver, just a few light showers. No big deal, but definitely have the umbrellas with you for any plans this evening. Here's the bulk of the moisture still to go for us, as that's lurking out in Arizona. Those showers will move through tonight and tomorrow morning, then a brief break, then a few more showers tomorrow before we flip things over to snow for us in the mountains. Fair bit more rain to go for us in the mountains before all is said and done. Boy, oh boy, quite the rain event for us in the high country. In Denver, though, most of our showers come tomorrow morning, then we clear things out. And by the way, here, Mark, looking okay for the Paul McCartney concert tomorrow night at Coors Field.
Chris, thank you. This week is Banned Books Week, and libraries around Colorado are doing the exact opposite with the books that some people want banned. At CU Boulder, they're putting banned books front and center for students to check out. It's a learning opportunity about the power of free speech.
Probably as long as we've had the written word, someone has found something about that to be, dangerous or objectionable in some way and wanted to impede people's access to it. My name is Katarina Almendinger. I'm a librarian here at the University of Colorado Boulder. As you might imagine, as a librarian, I'm really passionate about books and being able to share them with people, especially freely without any kind of cost barrier. This week is Banned Books Week, which is, of course, a very important week for libraries. It's really about celebrating books and the freedom to read in general, and then also increasing awareness and education around book banning and censorship. A lot of book bans are focused on literature that's written for children, or in more recent decades, since it's become a genre, written for young adults. A lot of the reasons that folks cite when they challenge a book's inclusion in the library do have to do with cited appropriateness for an age range, for instance. Most of these challenges are happening in public and school libraries, and there have been some of those reported in Colorado. I think it's not terribly surprising to me that people are trying to censor what people read. I mean, books can change your life. I don't think that's an exaggeration. So anything that powerful, it might ruffle some feathers, right? People are going to have strong opinions about it.
When we return, we hit the pumpkin patch for a weekly dose of good news. And some people misunderstood the assignment to get those pumpkins.
My good news of the day is that I'm finally getting my opportunity to audition to be the next Kyle Clark here.
Yeah, he's coming back, I promise. And a reminder, you can also catch Next streaming each night at 6 p.m. on 9 News Plus. And Next is now a podcast as well, each weeknight. Find us wherever you listen. There's a crisp in the air these days. The leaves are falling, the pumpkins are almost ready for carving, and our favorite Friday tradition feels like fall this week. Here's your good news, straight from the farm.
I'm Larry Vickerman. I'm director of Denver Botanic Gardens Chatfield. And my good news of the day is I never get tired of watching kids' faces when they walk into a 10-acre pumpkin patch.
Hi, my name is Allie, and my good news of the day is that it's a great day here at the Pumpkin Patch in Chatfield.
The Pumpkin Festival has been around for 36 years down here. It's one of the oldest events that Denver Botanic Garden does.
My good news of the day is that we're going to Cincinnati to see my grandma.
We have all kinds of food, all kinds of craft vendors, lots of things for the kids to do.
My name is Grace Clark, and my good news of the day is that we got to perform at this amazing pumpkin festival.
My good news of the day is hanging out with my family.
There's probably over 35,000 pumpkins out here, about 10 acres of pumpkins.
Hi, my name is Summers Baker. My good news of the day is that I'm finally getting my opportunity to audition to be the next Kyle Clark here.
I'm going to my friend's house and I'm going to my grandma's house.
My pumpkin growing crew is ecstatic when they see a lot of people out here.
We all have this idea of we need a perfect round pumpkin.
Just being able to walk right in and pick your pumpkins and store them while you hang out.
But I think that we can all get a little bit weirder, maybe if you want to find a pimply pumpkin.
Bumps and all. I have not gotten a pumpkin yet, but I am a gardener and I teach gardening at an after-school program in Denver. So I think we have 65 that we have to give out.
So it's 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. today, Saturday, and Sunday. We do sell last tickets at 4.
Happy Pumpkin Festival.
I feel like at a certain age, you just get pumpkins not for the carving, but for the pumpkin seeds. That's my favorite part of fall. Call me crazy. Marilyn, thank you. We're back with their feedback next. We got a lot of feedback tonight from people like Lori and Sally and a random text that didn't put their name. They're all asking the same question. Where is Kyle? Need to change the name to just Next since Kyle Clark is gone. Kyle Clark Show should not be Kyle Clark. Hey, where's Kyle Clark? Are we not good enough? Man's worked here for 20 years. He can take some vacation. I promise he'll be back on Tuesday. Until then, thanks for hanging out with us. Have a good weekend. We'll see you next time.